Welcome to Alumni Weekend. My name is Ingrid Weisslickers, and I'm one of the professors here at Andrews. So, what we want to do first, as we get you started, we want to show you where we're actually at on campus today. As many of you know where Nethery Hall is. You've hung out in our amazing basement that we still love dearly. But today we're at a different location. So, we're going to turn around here a little bit, and what I'm going to show you is Meyer Hall is that way. Directly behind me is UT Berman. You may have known it by different names. UT Towers. We're going to turn this way a little bit, and you're going to see this is Pathfinder Hill. This used to be where we used to all sled. It's no longer what happens. That happens somewhere else. And then you'll see the beautiful Sutherland House, which is the University Press. Many of you remember that beautiful house. Right directly across from us are the tennis courts. So hopefully that gives you an idea of where we're at. And where we're headed is straight down this path to that brick home that's in the back. It used to lovingly be called the Drug House because it is the Institute for the Prevention of Addictions. They have been kind enough to offer us a space, and you'll be hearing more about that later. So come on with us. We are celebrating down there. And as you can see, we are here waiting for you. We can't wait to get started. You'll see there's some goodies. The chairs are ready as our guests are arriving. And if you're watching us live, we wish you were here with us, but you will be at least this way. So again, welcome to Social Work Alumni.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Andrews University Social Work Alumni Open House, where we're having an in-person, wonderful come as you go open house, as well as our virtual live stream open house. So thank you for joining us through Facebook and different social media. This is wonderful. We're happy you're here. Today, as you can see, we're not inside at the social work building. We're actually outside at the new Shalom house, Shalom home, where we have our International Center for Trauma Education and Care. So please stay with us until the end when we will have a tour of inside of the Shalom house. So please do that. Today we are going to be talking with each of our social work faculty and learning a little bit about what is important to them, excites them about the program. And so please join us and listen carefully. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat. We'd love to have you connect during this time. So I'm going to start off by hearing from Kurt. So Kurt, would you please join me?
Sure.
Thank you. And I asked him as we started, should I use the faculty's professional names? And I loved how he said, we're all alumni, right? We're all professionals. We're all on the same level today. So I am going to be calling our faculty by their first names just to prepare everyone. So Kurt, thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So Kurt, tell us a little bit about the program right now and what you think would be important for us as alumni to hear about.
Oh dear. Well, can I switch the script just slightly? Because I was told I was supposed to do history.
Oh,
and
yes,
then there would be others that would tell about all of the exciting parts about the current program as each one of the faculty were experiencing that in their own zone. So
yes, please start out.
Sorry if I'm flipping the script. I don't think anybody that is sitting out here really knows much of this history because most people haven't been here, and I don't think it's been well told. We're almost coming up on 50 years of the social work program's existence.
50 years, yes.
Woo! And the program as a BSW started in 76. I need to go back to the records just to make sure, but that means we're starting to get close to 50 years. And I am almost certain that it was the first BSW or any social work program in the denomination. So I think we were a first in that area. And we were also, I know, the first to get accredited and one of the newest programs to get accredited in the nation. So this was back in the early days of council on social work education. But it was started by Reger Smith, who's kind of considered the father of the program, and he was around for a lot of years. He pulled away from the program when he became a VP of student administration or something like that. And when he left, the program kind of languished a bit, and it turned into a minor by 1984, which is about the time I was here as a student. So I didn't take social work as a degree because it wasn't even a degree at that time. But when he decided that he wanted to come back into the social work world and step out of administration, he started in 1990 the program back up with about 12 students. And he invited me to come and teach. And so we were the only two that were teaching at the time with 12 students and trying our best to build the program up. And it wasn't until 95, 5 years later, that someone, I believe it was Sharon Pittman, who had convinced the administration to start an MSW program. So the MSW program started in 95, and there are several in this audience that were in the early days of the MSW program. And I think you may have been one of the earlier ones as well. So that was kind of the earlier phases. And then we got accredited in 1997 with the MSW program. So at that point, we have been continuously accredited since that time. It was kind of hard after the initial excitement of all of the students in the local area who were taking the MSW. And so we started to languish a bit, and the numbers of students drifted downward for a period of time. I'm guessing that this is maybe somewhat coincidental, but by the time I was asked to be chair in 2006, they were actually exploring on the campus if our program, our MSW program, was one of the ones that should be closed down. So we did a strategic move where we connected with the behavioral sciences department, and we kind of merged with them so that we shared expenses, and we essentially hid our small number of classes and small number of students within the larger behavioral sciences realm. And so that saved us until we could kind of build ourselves back up. And by the time we got to about, and this is David Sidlacek, you'll probably need to help me on this. We, in 2008, I think, started the MDiv MSW collaboration. It was a little bit later than that. 2010. And at that point, I think we really turned a corner because we started to see more students coming over from the seminary, and then we added more and more dual programs. Lloyd Hamilton will talk a little bit more about the dual programs, but it was a kind of a big turning point when we started to share classes and share the program across multiple domains on the campus. So at that point, we really started to do well. And in 2013, we became completely stable and became our own entity. And I think it was in 2021, if you all remember, if this is correct, that we became a school of social work, which you had to have over 100 students kind of consistently in order to be in that phase. So we're at 105. Yeah, good stuff. We're at 105 students this semester, which is, I think, Shannon, is this our second highest year in our existence, which is really exciting. And part of that is due to the new online MSW, which I'm sure that Alina Baltazar will be talking about. And also, I think, due to the Trauma Center, which has also brought some new students and a lot of excitement and a lot of exposure to our program, and that'll also be talked about in a minute too. But I think the only other thing I would say is that we have done a lot of things with our local community, and that's included partnerships with the United Way and Area Agency on Aging and a number of area boards that we've been a part of. The Institute for Prevention of Addictions, which is now called the Shalom House, we've been deeply involved with as faculty, and even doing CEUs for the state of Michigan. So I think we've been pretty active in the community as well as active on the campus. And so I've been pretty proud. I think we have an absolutely fabulous faculty who are so smart and so talented. I'd put them against anybody across the nation. I think this is an amazing group.
Yeah.
So
Kurt, thank you so much for that history. I'm actually really glad you started with that history. I forgot to say I'm Kristen Jones, and this year is this right now is my 20th year reunion from
Good.
my bachelor's.
Yeah.
So it's so exciting. Thank you for sharing kind of where it's come the last 50 years. And this is an amazing time that we are at one of the highest enrollments and so involved in our community.
And I think we're going up from here. So I think this is pretty exciting. And the other thing that's really exciting is that I get to retire as chair at the end of this year because Shannon Tricarton is going to be the new chair coming forward. So I in particular am pleased with that. So after 23 years as chair, it's time.
Wow.
It's time. So I'm done.
Before
I was going to drop my mic.
Drop your mic. Wow, 23 years. I think this is a huge turning point for the school. You have been a rock in developing it and growing it over the years.
Yeah,
so
I certainly haven't gone away. That's been the one thing that I can say is I've consistently showed up. I've been here now 33 years. So
33 years.
Well, I've been 20 years as chair and 33 doing other things that I have no idea what I did, but I was
amazing.
here.
Well, I think I can easily say for all of alumni that you've been an amazing support to the school. And I agree. There's an amazing faculty team right now, but thank you for leading it all these years.
It's my pleasure.
We are excited for that transition next year. So
all right.
Thank you so much, Kurt.
I will transition with the mic instead of dropping.
Okay, yes. Next, we are going to get to hear from Desi. Desi, please join me. And for our live streaming audience, we have at least about 25 here in attendance at least. So we have a great group here and it's so beautiful, perfect weather outside. So Desi, thank you for joining me. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so much. Tell us a little bit about what is happening right now in the program.
Well, there's a lot of things going on. We've got our social work club who's very active in the university. We just finished up a club fair last week and our current president, Morgan Williams, has been our president for the last 2 academic school years. And so it's been really nice to have continuity with her. But we've been going strong now with me as the sponsor for the last 5 years with the club.
Wonderful.
And
wonderful.
yeah. So and you know they've been planning events for the whole school year and different community engagement projects that they want to work on. And not only that, last year we did something very unique. We started to collaborate with other clubs here on campus with the psychology club, Active Minds, psychology club, and sociology club. So we're trying to reach out and do programs together with them, other clubs.
That's awesome. I'm sure that's growing the good reputation, too, in the social work department to connect with those other clubs, and doing more with them.
And Kurt just mentioned the social justice club as well.
Oh.
When we did our sexual awareness week last spring semester, they worked with them as well to put on the whole week with the other clubs.
So with everything you've mentioned, is one of those something that you're truly proud of that really stands out for you? I'm curious.
I think I thought about this, because Dr. Tricarton, Shannon, and I talked about this yesterday. I think really what I'm really the most proud of is us building community with our students. I think it's one thing to be a teacher, professor, and have students who are a part of your classes, and definitely with me as the sponsor. But I think it's another thing for them to invite their friends and tell their friends what is the wonderful thing about social work. And I think this is what we're seeing our students do. They're bringing their friends from other disciplines and say, you need to be a social worker. This is what we do. And they love what they do. And they've established, friendships, deep friendships with one another. And I think this has been the carryover, because I think you not just want people to come into a profession, but you want to establish relationships that can last a lifetime, eternity. And I think this is what we're seeing here now.
I love that. Yes, so true. Connections, relationships, and ultimately being so proud of our alma mater and those connections that are established. Desi, anything else before?
Program director, perhaps?
So I've been the BSW program director, I think, the last 11 and a half years. So this starts my 12th year here at Andrews.
Yes. That's so important.
Yeah,
So important.
yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and so yeah, and we've done different things. I've worked really hard. We've done a child welfare certificate program with the state of Michigan, and we've had some of you out there, I think, that have gone through that program and gotten your certification.
Yes.
Yeah, and so our students are doing big things. I think
Yes.
one of the things that I've always been interested in is having our students leave as leaders. You know, we talk about being world changers, but how do we do that? And I think that not just in the club, but I think in our classes, I think in working in the field, I think all of these things transpire to helping our students become leaders.
Yes. Desi, thank you so much.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much for sharing us what you're proud of and all the amazing work you're doing in the school.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next, if you could, I'm going to pass on the mic. Thank you so much for joining me, Alina.
Hello.
Hello. So, similar question. You are helping to lead the MSW program. So, what are some things you're proud of in terms of what the program's doing and what you're most excited about?
So just to make sure you all know who I am, in case there's been a few decades since you've been here, I'm Alina Baltazar, the MSW Program Director. And as was alluded to before, we do have an online MSW. And I don't know if any of you kind of heard any of the discussions before COVID. We thought, no, we'll never do that. That's just not how we do things. Well, COVID happened, and we realized we actually had people who would Zoom into our live classroom. Now, obviously, sometimes the pandemic, right? They're just worried about getting sick. They lived in the area. But then there are people Zooming in from California, from Canada, from the east side of the state that they didn't want to commute, didn't want to have to move. And then we kind of, had some trainings here on campus on how to do online teaching. And we're like, okay, maybe we can do this. And so we're able to put together a program and, looked at some benchmarking, see how other people did it. And it started last year, and it was a pretty good enrollment. We had 9 to start off with, and we actually have more advanced standing students than regular standing students who started this year. And so that's what really helped us have a record number of MSW students, 73.
Amazing.
So, and so far, the students are saying they're really having a good experience, and we're finding ways to still have community. And part of what makes our program unique and still maintain our wonderful relationship that we have with the faculty and the students amongst each other, right, is we have 50% of our time is live. So we call it 50% synchronous. So there's half the time we're live, and then half the time we're still having the beautiful freedom of what online learning is. And it's in the evening, so Tuesday, and now we're adding Wednesday and Thursday evenings. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings. And we first started out with just a part-time program, thinking that's what people would want. But people are like, no, I really want to finish early if I can. So now we actually have put together, starting in spring semester, we do have full-time now available. So there's full-time, so people can finish their advanced standing in 1 year and a regular standing in 2 years. But there's still the part-time available too, for those who are working full-time, because I tell people, if you're working full-time, I wouldn't recommend a full-time MSW. I don't know if any of you tried to do that. That's tough,
A lot of work.
especially if you're trying to throw in an internship. So, but again, I think the faculty, at first I'm like, boy, are you guys really going to be willing to teach in the evening? But they've been adding on the responsibilities, and even sometimes teaching 2 sections. And it's been tough to teach a 2-credit class, which they normally had 2 hours, to just do it in 1. But we're all finding ways to do it. And then now we're going to be starting to add on contract teaching. So those who are watching online, you might want to do some contract teaching with us as well if you're available on those evenings. So very exciting, good things happening.
Very good. And have you added a contract teacher now?
Yes. So that will be the first time. So far, we were able to absorb it with our faculty and our teaching load. And we were given permission to add a 9th faculty member. We have a 9th faculty member. So she took on a couple of the online classes. I don't know if she's here. Well, hopefully, maybe you'll be able to meet her. But now, yes, starting next spring, we will be having our first contract teacher for the online MSW. So again, we're just thrilled to be able to offer that. And that so far it's going well. I'll find out when they actually go to graduate because I do the exit interviews, what they're telling us. But so far from what we're hearing, we do a monthly forum with them, that they seem to be having a good experience. So.
That is wonderful. And that will only grow the program. One last question.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the locations people are virtually connecting with our program?
Yes, so California, Canada, and Jamaica.
Oh, wonderful.
So it's
wonderful.
that far. Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, North Carolina, again, and these are people who would want to do, Adventist education, and they know the reputation that we have as a university, especially department, with the faculty really caring about their students. And they haven't been able to do that because they couldn't move here. They had family responsibilities, couldn't relocate. And so people are really kind of jumping on this opportunity. It's just we need to get the word out. So if guys, tell other people, make sure people know, hey, if you have a BSW and you wanted to get an MSW, now you can do it in 1 year and do it at a faith-based university where you have an opportunity to develop relationships with the faculty, with the other students, and or those who want to change careers, right? And don't want to uproot your family. And so if you don't have a social work background, but you want to, we have that program for them as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alina, for telling us about the amazing growth that the program is really doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we are going to have Lloyd join us and talk a little bit about our dual programs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristen.
Welcome.
It's my delight to be here.
We're happy to have you.
Yes,
We've always already heard so much about the growth of the program. So tell us a little bit about what makes you proud and excited about with the dual programs.
I'm happy to do so. And before I do so, though, I want to recognize Margaret Howell. She's my predecessor.
Yes!
For the
Margaret is
program.
here. I might have to have her show at the end.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you,
yes.
Margaret. Yeah. Well, I've been in this role now as director for the dual degree program, the MDiv MSW dual degree program, for almost 3 years, going on 3 years. And as a department, we have other dual degree programs. In fact, we have a total of 6 dual degree programs. So we have the MDiv MSW, we have MSW and MBA, we have MSW and Master of Religion, we have MSW and Youth and Young Adult Ministries. We have also MSW and International Social Work, and MSW and Public Health. But in my role as the director for the MDiv MSW dual degree program, I'm excited and I'm passionate about this. And I'll share a few reasons as to why. We see a phenomenon right now in our churches where the attrition rate is increasing and membership declining. And we also know that members or people tend to go where their needs are being met. So is this an indication that our members are having unmet needs? And if they are, what categories do these needs fall under? Because by and large, we know our pastors do a pretty good job with the spiritual aspect. And so our members having needs in the biopsychosocial realm. And if they are, our pastors feeling adequately prepared to address these needs. And we recently conducted a research study with one of our local conferences, and it is showing us, preliminary reports showing us that 60% of all our pastors are reporting that they feel underprepared to deal with issues above and beyond their primary responsibilities. And they're spending at least 40 hours per week or more dealing with those additional concerns that members are having, right? Whether it's, depression issues, whether it's anxiety issues, whether it's relationship issues, domestic violence, those are the kinds of things. And in fact, 15% of the respondents said that they were spending 20 hours per week dealing with those additional issues, right? And so that is why I'm so passionate about this, because I see that as the other end of the spectrum. But at the beginning of the spectrum, this is where we get to work with our dual degree students to sort of prepare them and equip them so that they can go out in the field to minister to the whole person need of our members, right? And so that is what excites me about this, equipping our pastors, our dual degree students, but also, as Alina shared earlier, now that we have the online program, those pastors who are currently serving in the field, they can also make or access our online degree program so they can stay in their district and attend classes. And so the goal is, at least my goal, one of my goals is to see how we can develop a curriculum, to provide trainings to pastors in the field, right? So they can meet and address and feel fully equipped to address those needs. In fact, 3 to 4 of all the respondents, all the respondents, they were on a scale of 1 to 7. We're getting the average response of 3 to 4, of 1 being unequipped and 7 being fully equipped. They're all the responses of 100 respondents. We're saying that they were answering 3 to 4 that they feel that as if they're equipped, which demonstrate that there's a need for pastors for these trainings, to receive these trainings and equipping services, right? And so that's what I'm excited about, because our dual degree students can start out ahead. When they get out there into the field, they'll be more than willing to do and provide those additional services for the members that they're serving.
Yes, wonderful. How practical and how needed.
Yes.
And what an exciting thing that our university is doing in this community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lloyd.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Excellent. Next, we are going to hear from Twyla, who helps with a lot of our internships. So here, all of them. So hear what she's also excited about.
Oh, excited about.
We're proud of.
When I started, everything was paper. We lived in a paper world. And over the last 3 to 4 years, we've talked for a long time about the desire to try to move the management of the internship documentation and monitoring into some sort of computerized system, a CMS system. And it was never the right time. It's a big project. So we always kind of thought about it and dreamed about it and hoped for it. And then finally, just after pandemic, we started to realize that if the time was to happen, it had to happen now. So over the last 3 years, that's what we've done. We researched and identified 1 year, and then we implemented last year, and we're full on this year in moving into that computerized management system for the internship monitoring and documentation. And just the ability to, it's a huge project, so I'm very proud of that. It's taken a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I know the students last year were probably not as happy with it because we definitely had some growing pains, but I can already see how it's going to benefit us in the long run, particularly with our online students, because as Alina was talked about, we have the online programs that we have to support, and with having to support those students who are joining us from all over, it's much easier to do with an online management system. And so I'm really, really happy that we've done it. And I have to mention, because you alumni, you can help me specifically, because with the online program, we have students joining from all over. And what's challenging about that is I'm not there with my list of agencies, because they're not in this community. And so there's a need for them to find their own placement. And so I need alumni that are willing to communicate with me about sites that they or slots that they might have to have interns in, maybe in their community, or if there are tele internship opportunities. I need to know about that so that I can offer those to our online students.
So Twyla, what would be the best way for alumnus who is not here but all over? What would be the best way to reach you at? Through email?
Yeah, through email.
Okay.
Yeah. We've also redesigned the website, And there are two ways. You can always email me. My email is so hard. It's my first name, twyla@andrews.edu. But you can also schedule appointments with me from the website. So two
Yes.
easy ways to connect with me.
Yeah, so if you're, a lot of us alumni become field instructors for other universities when you move across to other states. And if you've ever been interested in trying to do that for your own alma mater, for Andrews, now is the time. Now is the time to start getting connected and to possibly do that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So that wasn't 8 minutes. Maybe
No,
I
that was
talked
great.
fast.
That was great. I think anything else before?
Well, the other thing that I'm really proud about is Ingrid and Dustin are going to talk later about the Trauma Education Center, but I think that we do such an amazing job with supporting our students. And with the addition of that wealth of knowledge about trauma and the impact that trauma has on students and on the brain, I have been really burdened with how to better. We've all been burdened, but I think we do a really good job of not only supporting our students so they can succeed academically, meet the standards, meet the expectations, but learn skills, build skills so that they can also succeed professionally, even if they're struggling with a mental health challenge in a post-COVID world. We know that it's an epidemic. And also students who are neurodivergent. I think we do a really good job of supporting them, not just supporting them, and finding ways to accommodate the different ways that their brains function, but also helping them build skills so that they can take those skills and be able to succeed professionally, even if they're struggling with mental health or have a brain that functions differently with neurodivergence. So I'm really proud of that.
Twyla, that's great. Thank you so much for mentioning that. That is very exciting.
I don't know what else to say.
That's okay. That's okay. We might hear from you again at the end. So thank you so much, Twyla. That was wonderful. Next, we are going to be hearing from Ingrid a little bit more in depth about our trauma center, about the Shalom House. So please join me, Ingrid. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Would you like to hold it?
I don't know. Am I supposed to pin it?
Either one is fine. Either one is fine. So tell us a little bit about the Shalom House, which is where we are. And please stay till the end because we will get a tour. But please tell us a little bit about this.
So we should probably go way back
Sure,
to the...
give us a little history if you'd like.
Curtain, way back to the beginning. How did this all start? So here's how we think it kind of started. The reason we say that is because God's got plans and we're just kind of here, and then all of a sudden these things surface, right? So there's a couple of you who know you're either online or in person. A couple of you guys that in 18, I got to get my years right. 18, that spring break, we got two different requests, meaning to the social work department. One, Hurricane Maria had happened, so there was a request for faculty and students to come and help in Puerto Rico.
And I want to pause. Many of you online might have been those students, so you know what we're talking about. So
right. And then there was a request for a group to go to Thailand to a refugee camp. To do some trauma education. And these trips were amazing for the students, the faculty, and we believed we made an impact to the best of our ability, God willing. And we came back and debriefed and said, that was pretty amazing. So maybe we ought to think about, what if we do a social work kind of mission outreach trip once a year? We'll just do it for the department. That's what we thought might happen.
Yes.
But then the requests started coming in where people saw or heard the work that had been done. And there was requests of individuals saying, we want to know about trauma. We want to know where is the intersection of faith and science. We want some of these practical coping skills. And initially we thought, well, again, maybe it'll still be a little bit of a mission trip because we wanted to serve our world church. We wanted to serve individuals overseas that maybe didn't have access. Like you would think here in the US, you'd think, okay, people maybe have access to other trauma centers. But we realized that the need is great even locally. And so I'm going to blame Kurt, because at one point as we were talking about the requests that were coming in and we were saying, okay, but we're a school of social work. Our primary goal is education. And yes, our students were involved with us. It was Kurt who said, maybe we should create a center. Okay. You know, what happens with a center? So initially, it was just housed within the School of Social Work. There wasn't literally a spot. What it helped us do is to start to formalize from who we were. We weren't just the School of Social Work. We were the School of Social Work because we're housed in the School of Social Work, but we also doing interdisciplinary things with other departments. And then it just continued to grow. There's some of you who were here through COVID, right? Because then COVID hit. So we officially opened the center. Maybe some of you remember, we're here 4 years ago last week. So it was September 22 of 2019. And to date, as of, and I should have ran the numbers this week because you're going to hear more from Destin Young, and she ran some seminars this week. But in 4 years, we have reached over 12,000 people. Oh, wow. That, right? God, right? That we have record of, meaning like that people have registered that we know of, that we don't know about things that maybe others have watched. All God, right? All God. But then COVID hit and we thought, okay, you know, how are we going to travel? But again, God had plans, right? And there's a few of you on here that remember you were supposed to go to Bangkok and all of a sudden we can't go anywhere. And they said, we still want you to get on. We're going to do this crazy thing called Zoom. And that Zoom, I'm pointing at the different ones that are in here that helped to organize it. We had people from 8 different countries on in one training. Wonderful. Which made us realize the need, right? Yeah. So then how did we get to where we are here? So about a year ago, Dr. McBride, Dwayne McBride, who is the director for the Institute of Prevention of Addictions, and there's various colleagues here, he said, you know, we've got this house on campus that we've been using, I think it's since 1983, housing the Institute. There's research that's done. It's kind of office space. He said, would you like to come over? Oh, wow. And we said yes. And we got a little bit of donations. We got a little bit of money from the university, and we were able to change out the carpets and get some painting done. And we'll give you a tour at the end. And then together we came to the understanding of what we want to call the house. What does it represent for us? And both the prevention of addictions, right? And understanding trauma and its impact and how there is hope and healing. We came to the understanding of the Shalom House because it signifies wholeness and what God really desires of us.
That's awesome. So what is one thing that you hope will happen in the future with the Shalom House, with the Trauma Center?
Oh, there's so many.
I'm sure there's a lot. You can keep talking and talking.
So I'll tell you.
What's one or two
one of the things. So you'll hear us sometimes. We'll call it Trauma Center. We're trying to really call it Trauma Education Center.
Thank you, Trauma Education.
Well, it's all of us. This is a new thing we're trying. So this isn't just you. Partly because we've realized there are other trauma centers that offer treatment. At this point, we are offering education. Yes. Right. That's what we're offering. You know, in the future, maybe one day we'll be able to say there's treatment. But in the meantime, we're offering education. And you'll hear Dustin talk a little bit more about, and many of you, you're all in the field, you're very aware of trauma. What we've been trying to outline is what are the steps to becoming trauma informed, because we use that a lot. We've moved to a trauma-informed department, you all. So congrats to the School of Social Work for being trauma-informed. Yes. But our dream and our prayer would be that every individual becomes trauma-aware, right? Yes. Maybe not everybody can get to a trauma-informed, but to be trauma-aware, because that's going to make a difference in our own mental health and the way we treat each other.
Yes. So I might be putting on the spot, but for alumni who are not here, is there any way alumni can connect and be more informed, be more educated through this? Through the Shalom House?
So I think you've been seeing some stuff coming up online, like our website, etc., our email. First and foremost, we ask for prayer. Again, this wasn't something that we just woke up one morning and said we're going to do. It's really out of many of our comfort zones, because we're doing business development. We're doing all kinds of things that were not part of what we thought, but God's called us to this. So we need prayer for wisdom, for understanding, to reach those he needs us to reach. In addition to that, obviously we say to alumni, if you want to help donate, you can donate, right? We're always saying that because that's helpful as we reach especially people overseas.
Yes.
But if you want to stay connected, Dustin's going to talk a little bit further, but we do want you to reach out to us. There are ways we're looking for, not just what Twyla talked about. Sometimes we've got interns. I'm looking at some of them that were placed overseas.
Yes.
That came out of our International Trauma Center. So that way, I'll let Dustin finish up on some of those things because we had kind of a plan. We just want to stay connected with interns because we want you to know, I'm not interns. Yes, interns, but alumni. This is your center, right? This is your School of Social Work.
Yes.
This is your center. Many of you were involved, even in conversations about we should be doing more with trauma. So please stay in touch that way, and we'll continue to have that discussion.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
And we'll see you for the tour.
We'll see you in a few minutes. Yep. Thank you. Dustin, please join us. Dustin, you will be our last presenter today, and we'd love to hear a little bit more about what is happening on campus and what you're excited about as well.
Okay, I thought, let me just give you my history.
Yes, please. Tell
2
us a
years
little
of
bit.
it here at Andrews. I thought I was coming to teach a couple of classes and be on a couple of committees. That's what I thought I was doing. Your faculty here dream big and they make it happen.
Yes.
So I started officially a year ago, this last week, with the trauma ed team. And what has developed through that process is we thought we were doing trainings. I come from a background of rural clinical practice. And I just thought I was going to do some trainings, get to go on some conventions maybe. And it's built into more and more excitement of not only training, but mentoring. We have a couple of things of short weekend events and experiences along the way. But we've also started what's called cohorts, mental health ministry cohorts. And what that entails is 6 weeks of a clinical lead. Right now, that is me. I will be looking for alumni who will take that lead at one point so that you can pair with our interns and mentor interns into practice of not only doing assessments for goals, putting into practice coaching and seeing something move forward quickly in 6 weeks. We work with ministry leaders. We have principals right now on. We have some folks looking at especially paramedicine and EMS. That is one of the areas that I work with, and the fastest rate that we're seeing for death by suicide is within EMS. And so we're doing more and more surrounding outreach, education, along with our cohorts where, again, it's that training, it's consultation, and it's building some community with other people who want that change. We also are doing suicide prevention within faith communities. And so that's another area that I will need help with because we're developing, myself and Professor Hamilton are training the trainer models, and we want to help train other leaders and social workers especially to be able to go into faith communities and share suicide prevention. That is where some of the largest areas of hope can happen. And so those are kind of the two smaller.
These are great.
And we have larger ones implementing for larger systems up to 12 months.
That's wonderful. And so as alumni, what's the best way of connecting for those specific?
I would say you could look up Trauma Ed's email, or my email is just Dustin Y at Andrews.
Dustin Y.
And you can find me or reach out to Ingrid as well. We kind of know where we all live somewhat, so we can track each other down or start reaching out of, oh, I know this person who might be really, really skilled. This is why we need you to stay connected with us. Tell us what you're doing. Advocate for us. If you see a need, you might say, hey, I know some people who might know a thing or two about helping us. Don't try to do it alone.
Yes. And so if you have some awareness already, you're already working in these areas, you'd love to give back, connect with faculty, and they'd love to partner with alumni in some of these projects. That's what I'm hearing. Anything else? Any other, what's maybe one thing that you're excited about then now for the future?
What I'm excited about the future, I have to be very careful with that because your faculty, all of the faculty are big dreamers and get it done type of folk. But my hope is that really we start speaking louder about hope, about that healing can happen even in the dark and the ever growing stressful world.
Yes.
My hope is that trauma ed builds into its own staffing.
That would be exciting.
I already heard Kurt go.
That would be exciting.
Okay, Tree Carton will be taking over for the adventure, but growth.
Thank you.
And we need the prayers.
Thank you so much, Dustin. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. All right. As we begin to wrap up and prepare for our tour, I wanted to just mention a few things just to alumni here and also virtually. We want to connect with you. We want to be a community. Now that you're past, your education stage, we still want to make sure that there's connection. And so please reach out to our department. Shannon Carton has been a rock at trying to coordinate with alumni, and we have a lot of dreams for what we could still do in the future. So if you're interested in helping us with those dreams and helping us grow our alumni and having sites maybe all over nationally and internationally, please reach out and we would love to work with you. So I'm going to ask Ingrid to come back up and to prepare us to have a tour of the Shalom House. So thank you so much for listening in. Just give us 1 minute as we connect to.
Good job, Kristen.
Yep, thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
All the many ways. Department.
All right.
Okay. All right. So I think you all saw kind of where we were on campus because you should have seen that at the beginning. So now we're going to turn. I think the audience needs to wave. So maybe we'll give everybody some waving here as we move. That's right. As we move towards the house. I love it how everybody's mentioning names. So we're going to come around this way. I think you all saw where the sidewalk comes into the house. And so we're just going to pretend you're here with us. We wish you were here with us. There's some goodies here, which again, we're sorry we couldn't share. And so as we approach the house, you can tell that it used to be a faculty house years and years ago. And all around campus, there's various of these. And so we're fortunate to now have this house. I'm going to show you the sign, and then I want to introduce you to somebody very important. So as you can see, as we come up the front porch, we want to show you our signs. So the Institute for the Prevention of Addiction and the International Center for Trauma Education and Care. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more what happens in the house, but I want to introduce you to David Sedlacek. So David, what years were you MSW? I mean, you were in our department for a long time before you headed to the seminary.
1 year.
I thought you were there longer. They stole you that quick? This was before my time. So David is a social worker, but has been teaching over in the seminary for many years. He retired this year. And the reason I want to introduce him to you all is because you met Dustin, who is one of our professors who's leading a lot of our higher ed initiatives. David leads our pastoral initiatives. So would you take just a second, maybe tell them what we're doing in trauma ed for pastoral initiatives?
Yes. First of all, we're building education about trauma into several of our classes. So it's not just something you might get serendipitously, but we're trying to build it in there. We're also doing a research study on trauma in pastors, and we're inviting pastors to share their own personal stories of trauma. And then we're researching how does it affect their ministry. And our whole vision is if we can create trauma-aware and trauma-informed pastors, then they can take the initiative in creating trauma-informed churches, and they can then have be lights to the community around those churches. So that's really our goal.
Because we know people tend to come to their pastor first when they're
We need to
struggling.
create safe places.
Mhm.
And so the pastor has to be safe, then he can help the church become safe, and then people from the community can experience that safety too.
So alumni, this is another way you can help. If you have a pastor, you have pastor friends that maybe want to support these initiatives or be involved in research, et cetera. That is another branch of our center. So we do have 3 branches. We have an education branch. Charity Garcia leads our K-12 initiatives, and then David leads our pastoral initiatives.
Yes.
Thank you for jumping in
You're
here
welcome.
a minute. All right, gang, we're going to go in the building. They're bringing some of the chairs in, so some of them may be missing a little bit, but are we good? We're coming this way. As you see, we've got a small table here. Our interns meet here sometimes. Usually there's a couple of chairs that are outside now for welcoming individuals. We've got a kitchen, so you can see what we have tried to do is have colors that are soothing, that bring in nature. We know that colors are very effective in helping individuals to feel safe. We now have a great little kitchen that we can host meetings at. Sometimes we've hosted students. We've had students come from across campus to learn about trauma, to sometimes experience some coping strategies. You'll also notice as we walk through, there is a lot of nature on our walls. So the photographs were taken by Roberta Colwell. She is our administrative assistant for both the Institute for the Prevention of Addictions and for Trauma Ed. And these are actually her photographs because we know that there is healing in nature, and we want to encourage and promote that at this house as much as possible. So when individuals come in, they actually feel that sense. We've got individuals walking through touring, and you are fine to be walking through the house. This is the tour. So we'll take you this way. Again, you'll see there's pictures of birds. That's right. Just wave. This is our main conference and meeting room. What we love about this room is the windows, the bird feeders. These bring us a lot of joy, but also remind individuals that are here the peace that comes from nature. And again, we're recessed this far back on campus, that there's a sense of calm. What you'll notice for those of you that are interested, what we tried to do is we tried to do these smaller tables so that this room can be divided into trainings. So various times today it's set up like a conference room, but we've divided up the tables. You'll see we've got some a screen with the camera. We've got some equipment so that we can even do some virtual trainings from this space. To reach those that maybe cannot come in person. We can do trainings here in person as well, but it's just been a blessing to have a place to be. You will see on the wall a verse, and this is a verse that the Institute for the Prevention of Addictions leadership and our leadership came together to say, this is our core belief. We know that this world is going to have troubles. This world is going to have lots of trauma. Individuals are going to sadly have addictions as they try to cope with their trauma. But we believe that Jesus came so that we can have life abundantly. And we like nothing more than to share that perspective with science, obviously, and founded principles in that. So we'll take you this way down the hall again. As you can tell, this is just a kind of a typical 3-bedroom house. I'm going to come down this way. I'm going to turn on a light because I'm not sure what you can see. And what you'll see here is we've got our administrative assistant's office there. This is Dr. McBride's office. Oh, we're going to go in here and peek. Yes. and good meetings happen there. This is Dr. McBride's office. Oh, and we've got it locked for today. So Dr. McBride is in there. They do a lot of research. So we tend to keep this door locked for safety because a lot of research happens out of his office. And then in here, this is primarily our trauma ed meeting space. As you can see, we've got a good meeting spot. We've got a spot that we created so if there's consultations that need to happen. We've got a space that not only can we meet at, but that can provide safety in a safe place for people to talk. Sometimes we have individuals where we've done presentations on campus, and for example, a student will say, "Can I talk to one of you all? I don't know if I'm ready to go to the counseling center, but I wanna talk to somebody because I think maybe I've experienced trauma, or I think I'm having triggers, or I'm being activated." And so this is the kind of thing we can do here. We can have consultations. Now, some of you may be familiar with what I'm going to show you on this wall. If you have been on some of our trips, you know that quite often we have the children send fingerprints. We'll send fingerprints from here. We'll have them put their fingerprints, and we talk about fingerprint promises that if we don't see each other again here on this earth, we are making fingerprint promises that we'll see each other in heaven. So again, this is the Trauma Ed House. There is a basement. I'm letting you in on a little information. The basement is a very dry basement. It's not finished at all, but one of our dreams, and Kristen asked, is to finish off that space so that we can use it somewhat as a lab, somewhat as a learning location where people can come in and learn. So it'll be much more of an active space. Some of you may have heard that we do provide TBRI training, so trust-based relational intervention training. So we've talked about possibly doing some crash and bump type things in the basement. You can look that up if you haven't heard of it. We've talked about setting up some play therapy things, some sand tray things, various things that students can learn, but that also possibly we could serve the community with in the future. Really at Trauma Ed, our goal is every month to serve somebody locally, to serve somebody domestically, so within the US, and then to serve somebody internationally. We're grateful you have come along with us. And I think this is about to conclude our time. We are so grateful. So I'm going to close by having a prayer of blessing over all of you and then over our School of Social Work and Trauma Ed. Father God, we just are grateful. We're grateful for the School of Social Work. We're grateful for Andrews University. We're grateful for every student that has come through our doors, for every faculty. And Lord, as we are continuing on with the work you've called us to do, whether that's alumni working in their communities, whether that's our professors, whether that's those of us here as we're standing here at the Trauma Ed Center, we just pray that you guide and direct every step of our ways, Lord. We can't wait to get to heaven, but we know in the meantime there's work for us to do, and we're grateful that you go before us, behind us, beside us, and we recommit the School of Social Work, its alumni, its current students, its faculty, and also the Trauma Education Center and everyone on that team to you. We pray all this in your name. Amen.